Hey everybody, Steve here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Soccer City, the strategy game for football lovers. This game was originally designed in 2015. It was a Kickstarter campaign. It was released this year, 2016. It's designed by Lisandro Nembrini and Gonzalo Rodrigo. It's a two-player game, and it's going to take you anywhere from an hour to 2 hours to play out. Now, this is a game that's based on turn of the 20th century football, and you'll see right from the top of the box and to the components inside that theme really permeates through everything in this game. The game is played over the course of 2 halves, and whoever has the most goals at the end of the second half wins the game. It's driven by cards. They're used both for a timing mechanism and for the strategy cards, both on offense and for defense. It's a game that's a lot easier to show you how it's played than to describe it. So let's get the box open and I'll show you everything that comes inside the box and give you a little sample of play. And then I'll tell you what I think about the game after further review. But first, I just got to show you an unboxing real quick from this angle. The way they designed the box is really, really well done. So you open it up, and then you have the rule booklet on top, and then it has a nice inlet for the game board right there, and you see that all the pieces of the game fit in really nicely inside the box. I normally don't do an unboxing in these reviews, but this I had to make a special point of showing that everything fits in really, really well inside the box, and it's a nice presentation. Really jumps out at you when you first open up the box. All right, so I'm going to get the field set up, and we'll go down to the review on the soccer pitch. All right, so here is everything unboxed. First, I'll just give you a quick overview of the rule book. As you can see, it's a very nicely laid out booklet. Pretty easy to get through. It's 33 pages long. It has lots of diagrams and pictures, examples of play and all the different passes. Very good reference, has a nice index in it at the front, and some nice acknowledgments in the very back of the book for all of the Kickstarter backers. This also does cover rules for the Legends expansion, which is available as a separate purchase, but it does not come in the main box. The game comes with lots of great wooden pieces that represent all the players, and there's even a token for the soccer ball itself. There is some assembly required, so to speak, and that you need to put the stickers on each of these wooden meeples before you start playing, and it's a sticker for the front and for the back, which I thought was a nice touch. There are 11 players for each side. However, 2 of them, with the jerseys number 12 and 14, will only be used when you're using the World Cup variant. So for our review, we'll just put these guys back in the box. And that will leave us with 9 players, including the goalkeeper. And so the first thing that you can do when you're setting up your game is you get to determine which players you want on the pitch. Now, the different players have different defensive and attacking points, and depending on what numbered jersey they have on them. So there is a handy reference right on the game board that shows this breakdown of the defensive and attacking points. Generally, the lower numbered players have more defensive points and less attacking points, and then the higher numbered players have more attacking points and less defensive points. And so the first thing you'll have to do is you'll decide if you want to have a more defensive minded team, then maybe you'd load up on defenders and defensive midfielders, or if you're looking to score more points, then maybe you'd leave a couple of those defensive players on the bench. So each side will pick which 2 players are going to be on the sidelines, and then you'd set the rest of them up on the game board in whatever formation you would like. Okay, so we've got both of our teams set up. The blue team is going for a more middle of the road approach. They have 1 defensive midfielder sitting on the bench and 1 attacking midfielder on the bench as well. Whereas the red team is going for a more defensive approach. They have player number 8 and 7 sitting on the bench. So a striker and a attacking midfielder. At the beginning of the game, you'll put all the different decks of cards out on the side. The first thing we have is the ball deck. There are 3 different types of cards in this. There's the short, the medium, and the long pass in advance. And at the beginning of the game, each player will get 2 short pass in advance, 1 medium, and 1 long. And then you'll shuffle them all together, and that will form the ball draw deck. This deck also is the clock mechanism for the game. And when you draw the last card, that's the end of the half. Now for the second half, there are 3 special cards that you'll add in, and that's these injury time cards. And these act as injury time for the second half, so it extends the time of the second half by 3 cards, and these are used the same as the ball cards. So when the ball deck is empty at the end of the second half, you'll add these 3 cards, and they are used for whichever type of pass or advance the player would like. So they can use it as a short, medium, or long. The next deck of cards we'll look at is the attacking action cards. Each player will get dealt 3 of these. And then you'll put the rest over here. These cards are dual use cards in that they can be used both as a attacking tactical move, which is up here in the top right corner, and they can also be used as a dribbling move if you're ever in a face-off on the board, and that happens when a defender is 1 hex away from the attacking player with the ball. Each player also gets 3 defensive action cards. These will be used on defense, and they are a similar setup in that they can be used in 2 ways, either as a defensive tactical action or as a tackle move when they are on defense to initiate a face-off. And then lastly, each player is going to get dealt 2 shot on goal cards. And as you might guess from the name, that means that when you take a shot on goal, you'll be using a card from this. There are 2 other decks of cards. One is the goalkeeper save, and this will be used when there's a shot on goal and the goalkeeper tries to make a save. And then lastly is the external factor cards. So you may have noticed on one of the attacking action cards that it has a symbol down here, and when this card is played and it's successful, you'll draw the top card of the external factor deck and see what happens. Now, these are cards that have random elements to the game. Sometimes they'll be good, sometimes they'll be bad, sometimes they might not apply at all. For instance, this card, the On Fire, if you draw this while you're on defense, then you would just simply discard it and it wouldn't have any effect. If it does take effect, you can simply place it by the side of the board to remind you that that additional game effect is in play. Last couple of items for the game. There are 2 dice in the game. One is a normal D6, and then one is this referee die. And this will be used when you have a face-off and both of the players tie. And we'll show you how that works when we go through the face-off example. The last item is the yellow and red cards. So you get enough of these cards that each team can keep track of who has gotten a card. They're double-sided tokens, and you'll see on the side of the game board there are numbers for each of your players, and if a player gets a red card or a yellow card, you simply mark it there to remind you. Alright, so let's show you how a game turn plays out. Now you'll notice that the game board is divided into hexes, and these are how you will measure how far a pass goes, how far a kick goes, and there also are designated areas on the game board. The goalie has an influence area, which is right outside the goal here. He needs to be inside of that to be able to make a save and use his defensive points to stop a shot. There is a shot on goal area, which is also outlined in white here, and the attacking team needs to be inside of that area to initiate a shot on goal. Now when the game starts, you will have a special type of pass called a close pass, and that means that you don't have to play a ball card. You just simply state where you're going to try to kick the ball to, and it can go 4 spaces away. So we'll start off the game with our striker number 9 passing it over to number 5, and then we'll go right into the attacking turn. The attacking turn is divided into 4 phases. First is the pass or advance. That's where you'll use the ball card. So the blue team is the attacking team because they control the ball. So that means that they will go first. We'll decide what they're going to do. Now, the difference between the short, medium, and long is how far the ball will move. Let's have the blue team do a short advance. So they will discard one of their ball cards here. Say that he's using it as an advance, and then he'll move himself and the ball forward 1. Now we go to the second phase, which is the attacking action. So for our example, we'll do a fast break. So you see up here, it says fast break, and we'll look at our cheat sheet. And it says that during a fast break, you choose up to 2 players in the defensive half and then move them forward a maximum of 2 hexes. The ball goes to one of the 2 players using a close pass. So number 6 will move forward 2, and we'll have number 9 move forward 2 hexes as well. And then we'll use a close pass to have the ball go from number 5 to number 9 as he's 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes away. And then we discard the fast break card, and then we go to phase 3, which is the shot on goal. The players are not in the shot on goal area, so then we move to the team repositioning. So every player that hasn't moved can move up to 1 hex. So that would just be our defenders and the player number 8 here. We could move the goalie if we wanted to. And then that is the end of the attacking turn. Then we would draw to replace every card that we played. So we played 1 ball card, we draw another one. We played 1 attacking action card, so we draw another one. And then it would be the defensive player's turn. The defensive player only has 2 phases during their turn. A defensive action, where they would play a defensive action card, either as a tactic or to initiate a face-off. So in this case, we have number 5 on the red team is just 1 hex away from player number 9 who has the ball, so we can initiate a face-off. What happens during a face-off? Whichever player's turn it is, they will announce that he's initiating a face-off, and then if there are multiple players that could be involved, he would pick which one. But in our case, with the defensive player announcing it, he's going to choose the player with the ball. And then each coach would decide what card they're going to play, and then they would reveal them at the same time. So we'll say we're going to try to do a slide tackle, and then the attacking team coach would pick a card as well and reveal it. And so the first thing that you do is you look to see if any of them automatically beat each other. So you see that the sombrero, it automatically beats tackling and blocking, and the slide tackle blocks the croqueta and the roulette. So neither of them automatically cancel each other out. So now we're going to go to the points. The attacking player has 4 for the card, and then their attacking points, it's number 9, he's the striker, so he has 4 attacking points. So he would have a total of 8. Player number 5 on the red team has 4 for his card, and then he has 3 defensive points for his position for a total of 7. So that means that the attacking team wins. And so at the bottom of the card, you'll see it says what happens when they win. In this case, we swap the attacker and defender positions, and then the attacker moves 1 hex forward and the defender moves 1 hex forward. Player number 9 and 5 swap places. The attacker moves 1 hex forward, the defender moves 1 hex forward. And then we'll also see that this card has the external factor ribbon on it. So that means, and this was successful, this one was successful. If the defender had been successful, then you wouldn't have an external factor card drawn. So we'll discard the cards, and then we'll draw the top external factor card and see what it says. And in this case, we drew a low pressing. And this says it's only applicable if you were on your defensive turn, which the blue team is not, so we would discard it. Then the defensive team would have their team repositioning phase. which works the same as the attacking team's repositioning phase, and that every player who has not moved yet this turn on the defensive team is allowed to move 1 hex. And then we go back to the attacking player's turn. You keep doing that until you go to the end of the half. When the last ball card is drawn, that's the end of the half. Before we show you a shot on goal, let's see what would have happened if those players would have tied during that face-off. All right, so let's say that for our last example that we had there, that it was player number 2 on the red team, which is a defender, going against the striker. They had played the same cards, so they each had a total of 4. But then the number 2 defender, he has 4 defensive points, and the striker has 4 attacking points. So that means that they would tie. In the case of a tie, that means that a foul is called on the player that initiated the face-off, which in this case it was the defensive player. And so when a foul happens, you can either accept the foul and then the other team will get a free kick, or you can take your chances and roll the referee die. So if the red team decides to take a chance and roll the die, there's 3 different things that can happen. The red team decided to roll the die and they got that ball result. That means they would steal the ball and then they would start the next turn with the ball. However, if they get the card result, then that means that they're given a card, and then the blue team will get a free kick. And if they get the whistle, that just means that the foul was still called. No card is given, but the blue team will still get a free kick. So let's show you the last thing for the game, and that is the ever important shot on goal. So if the attacking team, after the pass and advance, has a player within the shot on goal area, that means that they are able to take a shot on goal. So they will announce it, and then they'll decide which of the 2 shot on goal cards that they have that they're going to use. And this is going to work similar to the face-off, and that you'll be using the number up here, which will give you the initial power of the shot, if you want to think of it that way. You'll add the attacking players' attacking points, and then also if they meet the special requirements down here, you'll get a bonus to it. So in this case, the bicycle shot says that it's a shot on goal while inside the penalty area and unmarked after receiving a long or medium pass. So if a player is unmarked, that means that there's no defensive player within 1 hex of them. So in this case, our number 9 striker here is outside of the penalty area. So let's see if we can use maybe this one, which says a shot on goal while outside the penalty area and unmarked after a successful face-off. So let's say that he had just won a face-off against number 2 there and had swapped places and moved into here. So then he would get the special bonus. And if he hadn't, then you would just simply get the points up here. So you total it 6. It's the striker, so he has 4 attacking points for a total of 10. Or if he had gotten the bonus, then it would be a total of 12. Then the goalie player will draw the top card from the goalkeeper's save. And this will have a point total up top. In this case, is an 8. Then you'd add the goalie's defensive points. When he's inside his influence area, he gets 4. And so that would be a total of 12. So if the shot power total was only 10 without the bonus, that means that he makes the save, he'd catch the ball, and then the defensive player would take over as the attacking team. If they had tied, then you would go down to the bottom corner, and that would tell you what happens after that, which in this case it would be a corner kick for the attacking team. And if the point total of the shot on goal is higher than the save, then that means that the team just scored a goal. All right, so there's a look at Soccer City. As you can see, a lot going on here on the football pitch, a lot of strategy involved, and what I found about this game is that the more you know about soccer and soccer strategy, the more you're going to get out of it. Now, myself, I don't follow soccer that closely, so I will be the first to admit that there's probably a lot here that I've missed, especially when I first started playing. But what's really great is you start seeing things that click together, certain strategies, you're moving players around, setting up shots on goal, and the game really rewards you for proper planning. Now, one of the things that I didn't get to show you is that some of those tactical moves are actually used at different points in the turn rather than just during the second phase of the attacking turn or the first phase of the defensive turn. Some of the defensive cards actually allow you to play them during the attacking turn so that you can intercept a long pass. Some of the attacking tactical moves you play at the beginning of the turn to do give and goes, or you play at the end of the turn to get an extra ball movement action. But I just wanted to give you guys sort of an overview, show you what the general flow of the game is, and give you a basis of the rules. So what do I think about the game? I have to say I really, really like this game, and I wish that there was some way that it could have a solo variant. I think it's something that would be really fantastic. I don't know if it's something that could be done with just a deck of cards that would control the opposing team. Just simply because where I'm at right now, I tend to play a lot of my games solo. So I really wasn't able to experience the give and take of another player, the strategy involved when you're facing off against somebody, holding cards in reserve, them surprising you with special moves, and really all the things that you get from playing against a human opponent. So if you have a dedicated gaming group, or if you have a couple of friends that you could play this game against, and you're an avid football lover, I would say pick this game up without reservation. It just looks so cool on the table. I love the meeples. I love that there's a wooden meeple for the soccer ball. I really love the art style of this, that caricature look of the players and the cards. Looks really nice on your table. It actually sets up pretty quick, and once you first get through the rule book, the game does start to play out a lot faster. So some of the turns, there's not a lot going to be going on. You're just advancing the ball, repositioning, goes to your opponent's turn, they reposition, and then you go back and forth. So once you get into the flow of the game, it does certainly pick up, something I'm not able to show you here as I'm playing the game solo. If I had any drawbacks to say about the game, again, it would just be I wish that there was some kind of solo variant for that, but I can't knock the game because that's not what it's designed for. And then also there are a couple places in the rule book where you sort of have to read through it a couple times to understand it. But like I said, once you get through it and play out a game, it all sort of clicks into place. And then if you find you like the game, the Legends expansion set that's available, what it does is it adds historical players that you can put onto your team, and they simply replace one of your generic players, and then they have their own special rules and defensive and attacking points. So that's another cool thing that you can do for the game. Once you get used to the base game, and maybe you want to do a tournament where you draft some of your favorite players from history, add just a little bit more color to your soccer pitch. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope this review was helpful to you. My name is Steve, and until next time, get out there, have fun, play games, and I'll see you after further review.